Hey everyone, this is Caroline. Welcome to my channels. We're on YouTube and also Facebook. For those who are joining for the first time, welcome, welcome. Today is Father's Day. So for all the fathers out there, kudos for everything that you do, for hanging in there. I don't know, to me, I still find it a little bit bizarre. I don't know if you relate to this, but to me, every day should be Father's Day. Every day should be Mother's Day. It's kind of, yeah, I understand we want a reminder to honor those special individuals in our lives, but I don't know. I find it strange on this planet, especially the one that really trips me is Earth Day, you know? It's like on that day we think of the Earth. We should be thinking of the Earth every single day. So anyway, still, having said that, this webcast is dedicated to all the fathers and also for those who are into it, who get it. To me, you know, if you have a divine father, that you call a creator, whatever you call, to me also it's part of this honoring that we are part of we are kind of children or offsprings of a much higher divine intelligence. So that's that. Okay. So yeah, welcome. And yeah, the poster, you guys are commenting on the poster. The movie's finally coming out. Yay. What, like in 3 weeks, not even. So super, super excited about that. And for those, again, who have not watched the film, definitely you can actually order it now. You can pre-order it, and then you get like bonus clips. So I have a really good one in there. So I highly recommend, just go to superhumanfilm.com. Go there now, superhumanfilm.com, and click on pre-order to make sure you get those bonus clips as well. And yeah, even if you've seen it in a sneak preview, we did a sneak preview for a very short time to a very small group of people. It was just kind of a promo thing. You have to see it again. This is the kind of movie that you see several times because it is so crazy powerful. Everything that you've been working on all your life is finally validated in this movie. All right. And I have Michael with me today. Michael, are you there? You're a dad.
Yes, I am. I'm here and I am a dad.
Yay. So happy Father's Day to you. So you have 2 kids, right? You have 2 boys?
I do. Thank you so much. I have 2, well, they're not little boys anymore. And then I have two older kids as well, and they're grown and big. And I got to see our daughter yesterday. She came and hung out. So I've had a great Father's Day weekend so far, and I hope everyone else that is listening is as well. And thank you so much for saying that. It is truly Father's and Mother's Day every day for the great moms and dads out there.
I was going to ask you, I get it. It's kind of like a reminder. Like, hey, we take it for granted, that, we have fathers in our lives, or even if they're past, they're still in our lives, energetically. So it's a good reminder, but I still feel like fundamentally, every day we should be appreciating what the Father does for us, or the Father energy. Same with the Mother, same with the Earth, same with Christmas. What is Christmas? It's like, we're honoring whatever. Let's not even go there, right? So anyway, that's my take on it, So yeah.
So my dad's no longer here, but I think about him every day, and I said my little talk, had my little talk with him this morning, and just thanked him and asked that I could be a fraction of the dad he was. So yeah, for all the people that are missing their dads out there. They're with us us and they see.
Yeah, and we're connected energetically, whether we know it, we feel it, we understand it or not. That connection is never severed. I kind of talk to my divine dad, and divine parents, literally all the time. I feel that connection, and it brings this additional kind of sense of support, especially with what's happening right now. I mean, with this crazy, crazy mess that we're in, it's kind of like the sense that, we're not really going it alone, even as a species. We think we are, but I don't think so. So if we cultivate this connection and keep thinking, keeping it alive, it gives us kind of a sense of direction as well, and a sense of protection, a sense of hope and support. So anyway, that was the idea. Yeah, so we are streaming also on Facebook, but also here. So make sure you start typing your questions, because, I've been talking, like, what do we talk about today in terms of current events? It's kind of the same thing. We've been talking the last few weeks about the situation, few months actually. And, we get it. We are in this big illusion. We have been living, to me, we've been kind of living this big lie, that everything is okay. I have this friend of mine who tells me, the situation is giving me a lot of anxiety because, the uncertainty. Like she said, well, I kind of liked my life before COVID. And, I kind of get that. But at the same time, what was our life before COVID? It was like, we think we are safe because we have a healthcare system that takes care of us. We think we are secure because we have an economy or some sort of societal system that has our back, that is kind of taking care of us. Like we have some sort of direction because we're told, these careers will get you here and so on and so forth. So all of these kind of lifestyles and way of living and seeing life and seeing reality kind of gave us a sense of security, a sense of, oh, okay, I know what I'm doing here. This is my truth. This is my reality. But to me, this has been a big lie. We have been living this big lie all along because all of these systems were still based on a very few who benefit from everything we're doing on all levels, economy, financial, everything. We were inside this, multi-layered system, and that gave us the illusion that we were all set, that we were okay, as long as we behave in a certain way and, have a job and do this and make money and save money and buy a house or whatever. So what I kind of like about this is that the COVID thing is bringing it all to the surface, and this big lie is kind of in everyone's face. The actual truth of what this reality really is. And so in that sense, this is extremely healing. It is crazy how it's all coming to the surface, from the politics to the economy to everything, religion, everything that we thought was okay, we thought was giving us safety, protection, a sense of direction, a sense of purpose and a goal. It's all now, it's on the table for it to be reassessed, reset, kind of decided on. Really, this is not working. No, I don't think so. And so that's why, in a strange way, it's about time. How long does humanity have to keep pretending that it's okay? It's okay as long as we honor, our fathers one day a year, as long as we honor our divinity once a year, as long as we honor our health, once a year. I don't even know if there is a health day. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, this does not even make sense to me. So that's the reason why I think there was a fundamental separation of who we really are. There's a fundamental kind of disconnect of who we are individually and as a society and where we were going. You know, we were functioning in this weird system. It was weird. And so that's the reason why, you know, this is an opportunity to take charge again as an individual, to say, no, I know what you've been doing my whole life. I know this system was corrupt. I know, and everybody can see it. You're not the only one. That's the other thing. You're not the only one saying that. The protest, you know, the social unrest, the world is not believing in this. We're no longer gullible, you know. All these secret societies and all this corporation, you know, agenda-driven reality is no longer. And so in this way, I kind of feel hopeful. You know, I kind of feel like enough is enough. Let's start over and let's set this straight the way it really makes sense to me as an individual, a true divine consciousness that is taking part in this collective consciousness, human consciousness, for a higher reason, for a real reason, you know, to break this matrix, the illusion of this fake reality that we were all living. So I don't know. I think that was a good kind of intro to what we should be focusing on, because we get it. We got it. We're not buying into, okay, the vaccines, the laws, everything. The COVID is an entry for more limitation, more surveillance, more laws that will infringe on our free will. It is so obvious. We got that. So I would say, we don't have to keep focusing on it and rehashing it and kind of being afraid of it. Let's look at it as, wow, this is in everybody's face and worldwide. It's no longer some countries are behaving slightly differently, but worldwide, you know, it's happening. So it's a very hopeful thing for me. And so that's the reason why I think, you know, of course we have to keep kind of, you know, keeping up with the latest news so we know what to do. You know, we can no longer travel here. We can no longer do this. You know, the new laws in this county versus this state versus this and that that are being imposed. We have to kind of be aware. But we understand, now that we understand the big picture, I think we need to bring the power back and focus on, how do I create my reality in this new madness? Okay? Which should have been the question from the beginning, but that madness was a fake illusion. And so I feel like, you know, for those who have studied with me, let me stop for a second, you know, just get some feedback. I mean, do you guys relate to what I'm saying? And do you have questions? You know, because I think that this is the point, this is the focus of today, at least. What do you think, Michael?
Absolutely. We do have a couple questions in chat, and I'm going to just go through all the Facebook and YouTube. Yes, people are in agreement, and I think overall we've got a real positive vibe happening today in chat. I think people are just a little saturated by the news right now,
Yes.
just inundated. It's like a wet blanket for everybody. Jennifer and Catherine, I feel like Caroline just answered your questions a few minutes ago. She always reads my mind, and I had those questions first. So I'm going to jump over to Facebook, and Franz comments, today I was tipped on a website where the estimated number of people on the earth in 2025 were shown compared with 2017. About 80% of the people are gone. Any thoughts on depopulation, Caroline?
Yeah, again, this is part of the plan, okay? The big plan will reduce population. We digitize every aspect of society, everything from the way you operate your machinery to who you are, to your identity, to work. You know, everything is going to be tele-study, telemedicine, people are going to be isolated in their homes and kind of connecting with the rest of the world digitally. And you will be connected digitally, through your iPhones. We already are. It's just going to be that next level. And so when you do that, you can control humanity, at that level much faster, much more efficiently. And so what part of this is to eliminate a huge number of the population, so to have even more control. And so that is part of the plan. But again, do we keep focusing on the plan, or do we focus on, we get the plan, it's someone else's idea and agenda of control, of the illusion of power, because I say illusion because it's not real power. And what do I do today? What do I do to manage myself to survive? Because at this point, it's really, the word survive has a negative connotation. It's like, you have no power. But in a way, it's kind of, you have to be in survival mode and take it in a positive sense, that today I take charge in figuring out how to maneuver all of this to stay afloat. But again, I don't want to sound negative with these words. Afloat, again, in the sense that we're being bombarded with these numbers. First of all, I don't believe these numbers. I don't believe this whole, how many deaths and how many, because we talked about that. Everything is rigged. Everything is, it's just not true. There's so many people, there's so much money being passed around in order to create this illusion. For example, how many people are hospitalized. We talked about that last time. So these numbers, who's doing these numbers? Who do you trust? Do you trust the media? Which media? Because they're all saying different things. Do you trust your government officials? Because they're all saying different things. Do you trust your president? Well, his best advisors who are experts in the field are saying different things. So how do you trust these numbers? So that's the reason why, instead of keep on rehashing, I'm exhausted actually from listening to all of these different opinions that really aren't helpful. It's like, we get it, so the lie continues, the big fat lie of what this reality is, what it has been, continues, except now it's in everyone's face. You're not the only one who's now saying, we're lied to, or there's an agenda. Everybody's saying that, okay? And so, of course, there are different people believing different things, which is fine. But that, the fact that there is a political agenda, there is a hidden story, is definitely in everyone's face. So again, bringing it back to, what do I do today? Now, again, for those who have studied with me, it's just a quick reminder. But for those who are listening for the first time, you have to think that you take on this human form and your consciousness starts to exist within this parameter, this kind of set of rules. I'm not talking about human-made rules. I'm talking about what you see, the spectrum of information that you see when you are in a physical body. You see certain colors, you hear a certain range, you think you're seeing object, material, reality, but actually you are particles of energy, that vibrate within a larger reality that's also all particles. There's different types of particles, but they're also vibrating. And so all of this parameter is created by the Earth grid. Again, for those who are interested to understand how time-space creates reality, the illusion of reality, of a kind of a material reality, go to my other talks and classes and books on the planetary grid. But all this to say that you appear in a human form and you think you are solid and you think this world is solid. It is, because it's vibrating at a lower frequency than your brain. And so it looks, than your consciousness. So it looks like we are stuck or we are inside a very solid, finite thing. When in fact, when you break it down, you are still particles of energy that are vibrating and moving these other particles of energy outside of us. So what this means is that I am now vibrating and I am emitting a frequency as I'm vibrating, and I'm affecting this mic, and I'm also affecting this table, and I'm affecting everything around me. You don't see that. We don't see that because we can only see a small spectrum. But my point is, the fact that you don't see it, it doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that you don't see it. And so in my vibrating, in my emitting my ideas and my thoughts, I am still pouring information into this physical world. Yesterday we did a class on spoon bending. Okay, you're going to say, what does this have to do with it? Well, it was very cool for those who took the class. You know, if you want to share just a little bit, it wasn't about bending the spoon. It was about, well, it was about bending the spoon, but the idea was to experience how your consciousness can merge and become that spoon and make it do what you're telling it to do. That's what it was about. And many people in the class, in fact, were able to do it the first time. Others did it later on. And so what this tells us is that even though you don't see the effect of your thoughts, of your emotions, of your intent, it still has an effect. And so the idea is, if you can demonstrate that, if you can experience that, if you can understand that, even though you don't see it, but in fact, the more you do it, the more you believe it, the more you will see it. That's another thing. So I was very blessed that since I was 5 years old, I was able to see the energy. So I can see, as I'm emitting this information, how my frequency is actually affecting not only others, but physical matter. And so this is so important because I can tell, wait, now I can push a little bit more here, and I can push a little bit more there, and I can focus more here. But what is the point of all of this? If I become so conscious and so understanding and aware of how my consciousness is actually shifting those other particles, then I can do the same with my body, and I can do the same with the rest of my reality. You know, the biggest problem that humans have is the lack of, again, getting beyond the limited spectrum, the visual spectrum, the experience spectrum. And so because you don't see that, you don't believe that. And I get it. But this is where you have to do the work for you to start to see it, to actually feel it, sense it, experience it, and eventually see it. You will eventually, I train people to see the subtle energy so that will empower you, or will validate the fact that when you put your consciousness, your ideas, your thoughts, your emotions, you are literally shifting these other particles. And what are these other particles? I'm talking about the table, and I mean, that's not the point. The other particles are people who are making the new laws. The other particles are information such as the 5G, such as the environment, the thing they're dumping on us. What's that thing in the sky? The chemtrail. The other particles, physical reality is still made of particles, and you are pushing and moving and shifting these particles to align with what you want. Just like you did it with a spoon, you can now focus on whatever problem. The vaccine. What is the vaccine? Yes, there is the chemistry component. It's made of whatever, poison or whatever it's made of, you know, there's that. But that is also information, and that is also particles of energy emitting information. So my consciousness is coming in contact with the particles of this vaccine, and I am pushing it this way or that way. So whoever tells me, okay, you're going to, and you know, you have to take the vaccine. So if my consciousness says, oh my God, fear-based, I have to take the vaccine. And if not, if I get caught, I can't do this, I can't do that. Then I am pulling away what I want. And then this information will gradually come into my life and my reality, and I will find myself in a situation that will make me take the vaccine. Does that make sense? How you can shift the reality outside of you. Now, having said that, you're going to say, well, if you're bombarded by all of this, it's kind of hard. It is hard, but that's what I'm saying. The faster and the sooner you understand that you are still creating. So the minute you pull away because of your fears, because of your belief, because you're not believing that your consciousness, your particles are able to push against other particles and shift them in this direction. So many times, I don't know how many people can relate to this. So many times I've gone through, I don't know, certain places where, you're supposed to go through this lane or whatever. And then I change the particles, you make yourself invisible and you go through a lane. I'm just giving a silly example, but just to give you an example, within the rules and the laws or whatever, you shift your consciousness is so strong, so concentrated on what you want, how you want to experience life, that you make it so that nobody sees you. And before you know it, you've just gone through whatever that lane is. So in that sense, you are still functioning within this fakeness, this fake reality that others are created. You didn't co-create the vaccine. Maybe you did on some level. So it doesn't matter. If you're still operating within these parameters that others are creating, you can still take charge, And so that's what I'm here to tell you, that no matter what they're telling us, how many deaths, how many people, we're all going to die, we're all going to get it, we're all going to whatever, okay, fine. We heard your story. That's your story. It's not my story. I didn't come in here to, be a victim and be like, plugged in, given all these chemical, whatever things or whatever, being told you can't do this or you can't do that. So anyway, the point is to begin to focus back today, right now. Make a pledge to say, I get it, but I'm choosing today to create my reality because my consciousness is here to create. You're not here to pull away. You're not here to just accept everything that others are creating for you, okay? So, for those who studied with me, I talk about the creative formula, So this is a quick kind of checklist, if you will. How do you do that and maintain this energy that you're putting out there, So the creative formula, of course, people talk about the law of attraction. The law of attraction is not how you create, The law of attraction is just the mechanics of energy on some level. It's not the mechanics of your consciousness. Big difference. You are your consciousness. You are the consciousness. The law of creation does not dictate your consciousness. What dictates your consciousness are these 4 points. One is your intent. Your intent. It's not the law of creation. Your intent starts the creative process. So that's what I'm saying. Today, my intent is to stop pulling away. My intent is stop being fearful. For example, I'm just giving you an example. And you guys can start saying that if you resonate with it. If you don't, it's fine. I'm just sharing my truth and what I know can be very helpful, especially now. So my intent, this is number 1, put it on your list. My intent is to, when I get up in the morning, to decide what I want to experience. Today, I want to feel good. I want to feel joyful. I want to feel protected. I want to feel safe. I want to be happy. I want to have fun. Whatever I can do. I want to feel good. I want to not be fearful. Okay? That's number one. Second is the truthful desire to do this. Do you really, really want to get out of this? Or do you want to go along with the flow, go with the game, just keep at it and just see what happens? It's up to you. And you may think, of course you do, but honestly, sometimes you think you do, but then your subconscious mind is so afraid. That's why I'm saying, ask this question. Do you really, really, really want to stop being fearful? Such an important point. Again, it sounds simplistic, but you try and ask this question to yourself and see what comes up. Do you really authentically believe? That's number 3, the belief. Do you truly 100% believe that you can affect physical reality? I can already feel and sense like, well, I don't know if I can do that. But this is on the checklist, number 3. Do you really, really believe you can do this? You have the power to create your reality, no matter what others are saying. And then the last point, of course there's more, but these are the main points, is surrender. Once you are clear on your intent, once you truly, truly want to create what you just said, once you believe that you're capable of doing that, then you pull back. You're not pulling back from those particles that I was creating. You're pulling back from your need or your want or your nervousness, or you're just kind of relaxing now. Like you are clear, you are centered in what you want and what's going to happen. So it's that sort of surrender. And so that's the reason why I feel, so this is a class, for those who are interested, again, I'm not trying to, but those who want to go deeper into it, go to carolinecory.com under, Mastering the Creative Formula. You'll see more details there. But just for today, just for us to kind of get back and remember just quick 4 important points, how to take back and take charge, and remembering we did not come here to be victims. We did not come here to be swept away by other people's particles. You are particles within larger particles, within others' particles. So you came here to manage your particles, in a way. You are here to move and affect and influence the reality. That's what you came. If you came just to absorb, think about this for a second, the physical reality made of particles, and you're supposed to just like take it on, and which means what they tell you on this level, and what the things that are being created, and the products, and the 5G, and if you're here for your consciousness and your particle to absorb, I don't know, does that even make sense? Well, I mean, what is your contribution? What is your purpose? If you're here to just be a container for other people's stuff, it doesn't even make sense to me, you see? And so that's the reason why, if this helps you shift back the perspective and the perception that this is who you are. You are consciousness, vibrating, creating, affecting, this malleable. It's all malleable. There's nothing finite. In fact, you just think about this. You're made of cells. The cells are supposed to be material, right? But when you if you look on your cells under a microscope, you zoom in, everything is vibrating. There's nothing that stops. There's nothing that is finite. Look at it. Keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And so, in fact, in the middle of it is actually empty space to allow the particles to move around the empty space. This is 0 point. This is another huge conversation. And so, but this is to tell you, this is proof, if you will, that you look material, you look finite, but you're vibrating. constantly vibrating. So you are never finished. You are never stopped. You're never finished, you see? And so those vibrations are continuously evolving. And so it doesn't make sense when you pull away, you are kind of stopping the natural flow of this evolution, if that makes sense. And so that I feel like this is a huge time. Like, it's like humanity has been stuck in this big lie for hundreds of thousands of years, not just, the last few years, okay? And so I feel like, think about this, how precious and how important you chose to take on this physical form exactly at the time where you get to contribute in breaking this illusion, this big lie. This is so huge. This is so important. This is finally you're waking up to your role. But now, how do you do your role? How do you perform? How do you carry out your purpose? Hopefully by shifting your perspective the way I have just described, hopefully will help you to take back that power. And so I think I'm going to stop here. That was a pretty good spiel. But that gives you an idea of how you can maneuver this, because it's crazy, and it's going to continue being crazy, and it's going to continue getting worse. And so why focus on that when you're actually here to focus on this? Okay, I'm going to stop for a second. Tell me what you think. Do you have questions? Michael, are you still there, or did I knock you out?
No, I'm still here, and we have some questions across Facebook and YouTube. So if you don't mind, I'll just touch on a few.
Yeah, please.
Okay, now bear with me, Sheila, on watching on Facebook, because it's several different ones, so I'm going to try to piece this together. Can you talk about transhumanism?
Yes.
Sheila had a vision that there was something about the right leg and a robotic installation that totally blocked regular frequencies and had more of a robotic frequency. Can you be more specific on where to find how time and space is connected? And I think she means to the illusion of reality.
Yeah. Well, that is. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, that is the agenda. That is this big plan. That is the big lie that continues on, that those particles that I just mentioned that are outside of ourselves, that is where it's headed. So you had a vision of where it's headed. And in fact, again, I mentioned that several times, but I talked about this and AI and all of this in a presentation like 3-4 years ago, and it's free on my website. So if you go to carolinecory.com and go to AI and consciousness, it's under classes, it's free. So you can just go, I think you just have to put in your login or something. And what happens is that, well, you can see how this has been, there are already rules and, all kinds of laws that have been, and patents that have been passed and, agreed on or whatever since like 1987 and 1993 or whatever. So this is nothing new. This has been part of, the story, this bigger story that's outside of you. And so part of this is to connect everything together. So I talk about the Internet of Things. So, right now, for example, like I said, which you already know, you can turn on your garage door, you can open your garage door, you can talk to your dishwasher, you can do all of this, remotely. All of this is done through this, internet, and the 5G. Eventually, it's going to be 5G. But right now, you can already do this. And so, the cars, the self-driving cars, there are cities already passing laws for self-driving cars, robots who will go out and do the shopping for you. You see, this is great. See, the part of the plan is that you stay home and then you can't go out because it's not safe. It's not safe. You're going to get COVID or other things. There's going to be other things. And so, but hey, we're giving you a robot to go out and do the shopping for you. Go to watch this this presentation. I show you actually several clips. In Japan, it was demonstrated a robot that's actually picking out oranges and apples and everything and doing shopping for you. And so what I'm saying is that this is already in the works. And so how are you going, eventually, fast forward, how are you going to connect not just your TV and your computer and your dishwasher, but the cars and the robots and the police? Think about, interestingly enough, right now we have this big problem with police because to me, there's a bigger agenda. It's not about, the blacks and of course there's that, of course, there's the black, community and the racial issue. That's on a social level. But on an agenda level, how come all of a sudden the police becomes an issue? This is also part of the plan to make policing and surveillance also digital. And so now, you're safe because there's cameras everywhere. There's cameras who can catch you. If you're a criminal, they did this thing in Shanghai where they were able to find somebody in Shanghai or Beijing. I apologize, but you can see it in that presentation. They were able to trace and find somebody in 20 minutes in a city like Beijing or Shanghai. I apologize, but I mean a big city that has millions and millions of people. So all of this, the policing, it's all cameras and equipment and laser and facial recognition and cars and major transportation. Forget about traveling to Europe and doing things like that. I mean, long distance. Everything becomes a digital operation. So that, and how are you going to sustain all this? That's where 5G comes in. 5G, we need this additional power to maintain this Internet of Things, because it's an internet, but it's not about communication and information. It's an internet that holds objects and AI all together, working together from the cars to your dishwasher. And so within that, the next step or part of this step is, which again, it's already happening. There is a chip or a way to have all of your information, your bank account, your address, your social security, whatever, digitally as a chip or in your, what do you call it? Oh my God, fingerprint, right? But eventually, if you're going to operate your if you want, instead of you having to call, to go shopping or whatever you need to get somewhere, you also have to be part of the Internet of Things. And this is where those vaccines and other laws that are going to be implemented is for literally making it mandatory for you to be part of the digital system by injecting materials that communicate, just like you are now speaking through what is that thing called? Series? Oh, Allegra, whatever. Allegra, what is it called? As you are commanding your TV to be turned on, you are speaking. It's through your voice recognition. But eventually it would be thought recognition. And again, this is already, the technology is already there. I'm not telling you anything new, but what I'm telling you is that this is real, and this is the plan, and this is where it's going. So the COVID was the first kind of step one to make people so afraid of the physical world, so that you retreat. And then you justify taking on a vaccine that has already that information. In fact, but first, what they're going to say is you have to have this app on your phone that will for surveillance to track you, because if you had COVID, how do we know, if you had COVID or not, so the next step from the tests is those apps to make sure if you have COVID, then we can trace you and we can trace all the people you came in contact with. And if you didn't have COVID, well, then maybe you're not safe to go to this place and that place. So we'll start with those, and eventually, you will have to be recognized as a COVID or not COVID, safe or not safe through these injections. And so it makes perfect sense in the sense that there is technology of recognizing information. It's Bluetooth, basically, of course, a little bit more technical or sophisticated, if you will. So yes, that is the plan. So you had a vision of the plan. And again, like I'm saying, how do I do this? Do I become a victim? Do I already see myself becoming a machine as part of the Internet of Things? Or do I say my consciousness, my vibration can still alter these outside information, whether it's electromagnetic or even transmute, whatever. Now, God forbid, whatever, if you don't want to take a vaccine and you are forced or whatever, especially kids, what they're going to say is that, well, kids aren't safe, so they can't go back to school unless they take a vaccine. Same with offices. There's not going to be like working environment. You can't go in. You can't go back to work. You can't make a living. Excuse me. You can't make a living. You can't go back to work unless you have that vaccine. So that's why you have to make a choice. Do I do the vaccine and keep on with my life, normal life, or do I say, no way, I'm staying home or I'm doing something else. I'm creating my reality differently. But let's say if you did, for example, decide or somehow by force or someone, you or in your family, you do take the vaccine and or whatever else, that's what I'm saying. That's why we're teaching these tools right now. This is so timely. So your consciousness has the ability to change the chemistry of water, okay? It has the ability. We've been proving this over and over. I'm not the first one. There has been many experiments done by physicists. The first one that I can think of is William Tiller. He did an experiment where there was a group of people basically measuring the pH of water before and after. I'm not going to go into the details. But basically, he was able to scientifically demonstrate that the consciousness was able to alter the pH in water. Okay, what does this have to do with it? Everything. Because if by intent, if just by looking at the water, I'm making the properties of the water change, just by looking at it, by intending it, this means what I just told you earlier, that the particles of my consciousness changed, moved, affected the vibration, the molecular structure of water. So this is just one example. If my consciousness can do that, my intent, my particles change the particles of the water the way I wanted, then I can do the same with my blood. I can do the same with any foreign object that is in my body, because you're basically transmuting the chemistry and the components of whatever is in your body. Now, having said that, you're not going to just like overnight just do that, if you've been training yourself. But the first thing is for you to, again, do the creative formula, the 4 steps. What is your intent? Do you really want to do that? Do you really believe you're capable? And then surrender, meaning just do it, just let it be. I mean, just go through the process. So That's what I was telling you earlier when we were training ourselves. That's why I'm teaching these classes, by the way, Superhuman classes. They're online, and that's what I was saying about these spoon bending. This is just an example. The water is just an example, a verifiable, observable, measurable example that your consciousness has the ability to alter the particles of energy that are part of the physical world. And the vaccine is physical. It's chemistry put all together, a bunch of chemistry put all together. So I change the chemistry of water, I can change the chemistry, period, is what I'm saying. And so this becomes, again, you know, it's for you to start to understand. Also, this is another very important component. Again, I've been teaching a consciousness for 20 years, for those who know me and have taken classes with me. But there's very, very few scientists who even understand what consciousness is. You know, consciousness, you know, when you ask a scientist, you know, what is consciousness? They tell you consciousness is being conscious, meaning being aware of things. Okay, like, hey, I'm conscious that I'm speaking right now. Okay, to me, that's like such a minute, little simplistic, very trivial part of what consciousness is. Yes, it's the fact that I'm conscious, that I'm aware, that I'm wearing a white shirt and I'm speaking. Okay. But to me, consciousness is actually, it's a form of energy. All existence is energy. It manifests in different forms. One of the forms is consciousness. So consciousness is a type of energy. If I want to simplify this, so heat is energy, you know, chemistry is a type of energy. Everything is a form of energy that's vibrating at different rates, okay? So the fact that consciousness has can actually travel faster than the speed of light, it has the ability to break down, it has the ability to alter, because it's much faster. It's kind of like the speed of sound. You know how you break the barrier, the sound barrier? It's a little bit like that. Your consciousness, this type of energy that we call consciousness, has the ability to shoot, to break the particles of the material world. Okay, so think about it in those terms as so if I have, like, let's say thermal energy, just heat, and I point my consciousness particles and energy into that heat, I can my consciousness frequency is so much more powerful, so much faster. It travels faster than the speed of light, that it breaks down those particles. And so if my intent is to increase the thermal energy, it will boost it up. But if my intent is to bring it down, that's what it will do. In other words, there's nothing more powerful than the energy that we call consciousness. And it kind of makes sense. Does it make sense to you that the chemistry, you know, oxygen, whatever those particles are stronger than you? It's like, it doesn't even make sense, because you decided to take on this chemical body. You see, it's like you decided. The body didn't decide. You know, the body didn't come before you. Not like, oh, here's the baby, you know, like it already had, you know, it came with. No, there's a physical body, and then you decide, I'm going to take on the body of this baby, or I'm going to take on the body of that other baby, or whatever. So you are at the helm of creation. Your consciousness, the particles of your consciousness travel faster than the speed of light and are more powerful than any other particles in existence. You see? And so just keep, you know, whether you believe it or not, you know, again, I have been working in this field for 20 years, so I know where I'm coming from as I'm saying these things. But it's one of those things that you have to experience. You have to experience yourself. You have to feel what I'm saying, because again, science will tell us, oh, consciousness is just like being aware. It's so much more than that. Okay. So anyway, I don't know, what was the question? Did I answer the question, Michael? Sorry.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I mean, I think you answered a lot of questions with that, and it was really well tied together with the difference between how people or souls will emit data and how that's all being tied into what's happening today. I thought that was very thoughtful.
Yeah, because the question was about, are we all going to become machines? And so, yes, you will become a machine. In other words, to summarize this whole thing, you will become a machine and part of the Internet of Things if your consciousness wants to, is what I'm saying. If you intend to be part of that plan, there's nothing wrong with that. It is what it is. I know what I've decided for myself. I'm just giving you and reminding you from my experience working in this field and helping so many others, what really the truth is for me, and what I've over and over and over validated with science. And what is science? Science is the ability you call something scientific when you repeat an experiment over and over. You have a control group, blah, blah, yeah, we get that. So if I'm able to change the chemistry of water under laboratory conditions over and over and over, and I'm not the only one, many people can do this. So that means I have scientifically, because if it's impossible, then I shouldn't be able to do it. First of all, I shouldn't be able to do it in the first place. If I've done it once, it means it's possible. It means I'm breaking the scientific laws that says, no way, there must be something else. There must be the heat or something, whatever. When you do things under laboratory condition, meaning, under vacuum or whatever, you're controlling the environment, and then you're able to repeatedly have those results, then you have proven you're validated scientifically. Anyway, having said that, if I can do this once and twice and 3 times, and other people can do it once and 3 times and 4 times and 10 times, this means that it's valid. It means it's possible. If not, nobody should ever be able to do any of this. And so that's the reason why I keep saying, yes, that is the agenda, but everything starts with you. That's why I'm saying your consciousness, your intent travels faster than the speed of light, is the most powerful energy in the universe. Once again, travels faster than the speed of light, meaning faster than those molecules that are rotating, faster than chemistry. Okay, the fact that it's faster, it's going to hit it and change it, period. It's the most powerful type of energy in the universe. You started your physical body. It didn't start you. Okay? So that's why. Yeah. So yeah, that was the answer. Go ahead.
All right. We had a couple more, and we had, bear with me, I need to get to the right Facebook page. David's watching on Facebook, and he had a great comment. We touched on it, but I'd like you to maybe wrap on this one.
Yeah.
He says, my physics book never told me about any of this. It never said that it isn't possible either. He's still learning.
Very good. And so that's why I am now, because I've been working with different scientists who dare to go in that field, then we have been, we've been demonstrating. That's why I did the film Superhuman. That's exactly why, because for a few years, we kept getting results. I kept affecting an object, electronics, thermal energy. I can show you all those results, electromagnetic at a distance, over and over and over. So again, under laboratory condition, in the sense, for the scientists who are listening, in the sense that you take a baseline. So for a long time, you measure whatever, condition it is. And then the moment, let's say at 3 o'clock, I'm going to interfere with this electrical device from 3 o'clock to 3:15. So 5 hours before 3 o'clock, it has one stable measurement. And then at 3 o'clock, it shoots up 400% for 15 minutes. And then it drops again. It goes back to whatever measurement it was at the baseline. And then we do it again, and we do it again, and we do it again. This tells you that there is a time correlation between the influence, the consciousness effect, and the baseline. This is how we know that there's something there. And so we started doing all these kinds of experiments, in person and in long distance, and we kept getting these results. And like I said, others have done experiments. And I was like, wait, this is crazy. We should be teaching that. People should be doing this right now. Of course, nobody tells us this in school. And of course, David says, no physicist will, the average physicist will say it's impossible. Okay, so if it's impossible, then how can I do it under laboratory conditions, like I said, over and over and over? I shouldn't be able to do it ever. So that's what I'm saying. So there's so much more that we're not being taught. Again, this is part of the lie. Hello, you're part of the lie that physical reality is only what you see. Physical reality is only what you can measure in three-dimensional way. Physical reality is only this and this and that. And forgetting that, and yet at the same time, actually scientists contradict themselves, because then they say, oh, we only know like what 1% of the brain, whatever, 1% of the universe, we only understand this much. We're just starting to scratch the surface. So if you just start to scratch the surface, you cannot come to a conclusion, about everything. We can say, because we only know 3% of the brain, whatever, I forget how many percent, but anyway, it's certainly not the full brain. So if we only know that much, then scientists should say, from those 3% or 5% or 1% of the universe that we know and understand, we come to these conclusions, but we don't know what else is out there. To me, this is more of a truthful education. And so, but we go to school, we're again ingrained with the idea that, no, this is reality and we have to believe what our professors are telling us. Again, this is not to put down, scientists have done a huge work in the field as well. So I don't want to, I'm just saying the consciousness part, the rest of the story, we're not there yet. So anyway, so because of this, I said, because of these verifiable information, repeated, successful experiment, then I said, oh, well, let's bring on other people. And so we started to kind of bring other folks, and that's the reason why I made this film, because I wanted, the rest of the world to kind of have an idea that, wait, this is not crazy stuff. This is real. This is measurable. This is truthful. And if you at least give it a chance, you will understand the implication. And the implication is that you create the process. You affect reality. It's not the other way around. And when you change that formula, you become empowered, which is part of the plan, is to keep it under wraps, that you're supposed to follow the rules. We are telling you what you're supposed to believe. I hate that. I hate people telling me, what I should believe, that there's nothing out there, when I know every inch of me has experienced so much more. So anyway, so so that's what the film is about in the classes. So, we're teaching again, spoon bending is just an idea of, telekinesis, all of that. So check it out as well if you're interested in that training. All right. Yeah.
Have a look in the chat, everybody. I listed where you can find Caroline's online classes, as well as books and CDs, and where you can pre-order Superhuman, which obviously covers a lot of these topics and how the scientific community is edging closer into the consciousness side of things and getting measurable results.
Yeah, and so please go to superhumanfilm.com and click on pre-order, and that way you'll get the film. But like I said, this pre-order gets you additional bonus clips, whereas if you buy it like when it gets to iTunes or whatever, like you won't get those additional clips. So plus it's like $20, so it's like we're not right, it's like 19 something. So, and it is the kind of film that you want to own, because I mean, I think anyway, because it's filled with information. Like, it's not a love story you see once and you're done. You know, it has so much things to kind of review and also share with others that you know, I think with this pre-order, I think you get to download and don't like own it, right, Michael, and get those, yeah, and get those additional clips.
That's correct. If you purchase the film, you have that content forever. Not only Superhuman, but that additional bonus material. And I've been lucky enough to have watched it already, and I can say personally that watching this one time probably isn't enough. There's a lot of information to unpack there. There's a lot of things that they're very amazing the first time you see it. So you need to go back and watch it again, because sometimes it's, I don't want to say above our heads, but it's pretty fantastic. And some of these children, for example, their abilities are truly amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. One of them, again, for those who are listening, it's you know, we're also, in fact, we're teaching this right now, Michael. You don't know this, but you know, we've investigated how you can see with the blindfolds, and of course, we've tested the blindfolds. There's no light coming in, and you know, all of that stuff. And so we have in the film crazy, like amazing examples of people doing stuff with the blindfolds. And we're teaching now, actually, again, on the website. The class is full because we can only take so many. It's for kids. So because it gets out of control. And so it's only the third class, and we already have kids who can see color, who can read completely blindfolded. Only 3 classes. So it's crazy. I mean, this is real stuff. And so for all of you who have been doing energy medicine, who have been working in, you know, spirituality or self-development, or, you know, all of this field, or just at least believe that, you know, they're telling us your mind affects your stress level. I mean, that, speaking of scientists, speaking of, you know, the medical establishment tells us that they can verify with biofeedback that the mind affects the stress level. Positive thinking, you know, affects how you feel, and affects you, literally can make you sick. So this film actually proves that, you know, demonstrates how your mind, your consciousness literally affect the physical world and physical reality. That's why this is like crazy. Like, I feel like you all should be finally happy that this information is not just talk anymore. It's not just theories. It's not like this. You can finally say this is how you can, you know, prove it, you know, whatever, validate. But also the classes, I'm like blown away yesterday with the spoon bending. It is so cool that people who had never done this were able to do that. And the same with the kids blindfolded. You can see the class, you can purchase the class and see it for yourself. 3rd lesson, they can do this already. After the series that I'm done, Superhuman Online, I'm going to also teach the blindfold. So just stay tuned for that. Those classes are posted on superhumanfilm.com under workshops, but also on the main website. So if you're interested for yourself or for your kids to look into that. Again, these are just tools to get you to feel, to really, really experience what it's like if for when you focus on something, it happens, you know. And then when you do this fast enough times, then by the time you're dealing with water or chemistry or your blood or vaccines or whatever, it's almost like you know what to do because you've done it so many times with the spoon or with a piece of paper or with telekinesis, you know. So it's almost like you are retraining your consciousness and you're becoming aware of how your consciousness can actually change the physical reality. So that's why I'm very excited about this, because I feel like so many people in this field have been kind of, you know, talking about it without getting that sort of validation. You know, the secret was just very theoretical. The what the bleep do we know was a great concept. These are great, but it's still theoretical. Here, this is real. So anyway, very excited about that. And again, this is just an idea, an example, whatever your heart says you should do. In the meantime, I hope that this, what I've explained and shared with you today, this shift in perception, this shift in perspective of you being energy, affecting and vibrating within this virtual, malleable, other sorts of energy will give you that starting point to begin to shift things for you. Why wait? Just now, you know, make the pledge, make the decision. Even when I watch the news, even when I understand more of this big picture of this whole plan, diabolical, crazy stuff, you know, like, yeah, I get it. But it has been there all along, you know. Now it's just in our face. And so, and you will start to kind of recognize, like I said, this police thing, you know, all these things that are popping up are all serving that bigger story. And so, and there will be more of tools collectively that I will share with you, but at least today, I feel like this is on an individual basis. It's a good, you know, kind of starting point. So any other comments or questions real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, Eveline is watching on YouTube, and she's been in the classes. She was in the spoon class, and her son missed the first reading class, so he only joined 2 classes in, and last night she says he read a book completely blindfolded, and he is so proud, and I just wanted to thank her for sharing that.
There you go. I'm telling you, this is not crazy stuff. So 2 classes, the kid's able to read blindfolded. So having said that, you know, and also when we got into this, we didn't even know how it was going to work online, because these were live classes, and we had never taught it online. So we were like, is it going to work? How's it? You know, I had done something online, but still with the children, and it's working. So, you know, whatever limitation we have, we think, you know, online or in person, doesn't really matter. So think about this kid. I think his name is Luca, right, Evelyn? And he's adorable. And so I think he's 7 or 8, I'm not sure. So think about this kid now growing up, having had the experience of doing something that he thought was impossible, or all his friends, or it's not about comparison at all. It's about just having this additional ability all of a sudden that you thought you never had. From that, the next time we tell him, you know, you can do this, you can fight this, whatever could happen, whatever's thrown his way, you are now empowering this child with so many new abilities on how he can create anything. Because that's the idea. These classes are just tools, are just practice ground that you can then apply to other things. That's why I'm so excited about this, because the film and the classes, because it's real tools and not just the meditation. Of course, the meditations are amazing. Of course, the clearing is amazing because you're shifting your vibration. But now after that, or in addition to that, you're learning specific skills and you're seeing incredible, crazy results. So we're going to keep adding on those classes as well. Like I said, give me some time. We just finished that first round. So again, you can see those classes. And so before I forget, also, if you haven't done so, if you're new to this, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, like and follow our pages, because because this is where we're going to post stuff. I mean, if you want to benefit and invite others, it's free. It's totally free to you. And it just kind of helps us out to keep going and kind of keep bringing more information. So make sure you click on that icon if you're on YouTube, and send this link to your friends. Again, it's totally free. At least if this will help them shift into this new perspective, at least make those 4 checkpoints and start to feel better about where we're at and what this is about and how to take back your control in the middle of this mess. So that is what I wanted to say. And I think that's it. Anything else? Let me see. There are other things that are coming up, also that should help you, but I think we can talk about that next time. About other things that maybe today I feel like on an individual, that's where you can begin. But there are other things also happening on a collective that I will share with you next time. But it starts with you. So if you at least start with this conversation with yourself and this pledge and this new, perspective on how to forge ahead, then next time we will talk more how we are collectively and what else we can do, even on a practical level, what we can do to continue creating what we want. Just remember, you didn't come here to be a victim. Your consciousness did not come here to absorb other particles and say, oh yes, I'll take it. That's not what you came to do. I can guarantee, even though it may feel like that, I can guarantee 100% you came here for your consciousness to break things up by creating a positive, uplifting experience for yourself and for others. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. And also, please leave comments, because if I didn't get to your questions, then I will go back to those comments and I will answer you, and everybody can benefit and everybody can see the information as well. What do you think, Michael? Should we sign off?
I think that's a good note to end on. And yes, Sheila clarified her question in the Facebook chat, so we will circle back to those. And I also put the Superhuman workshop in here in the live chat, so feel free to scroll back up and check that out. Thanks again for everybody who's been watching with us. All your comments and questions are really fantastic. We really appreciate everybody participating with us literally all around the world today.
Yes, thank you so much. And we'll see everybody next time. And like I said, we'll keep following up with you when you leave comments so that others can benefit from your questions if we didn't get to them today. Thanks so much for joining, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.